Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Jason, and today we're diving into a fascinating and often overlooked topic that can transform the way you communicate in English. It's all about body language, how you move, gesture, and express yourself without saying a word.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia, your co-host, and I couldn't agree more, Jason. Body language is such an important part of communication, and for English learners, it can make a huge difference in how confident and clear you come across. Sometimes, even if your words aren't perfect, your body language can help convey exactly what you mean.
Exactly, Julia. Research shows that a significant part of communication is nonverbal. Some even say it's over 70%. That's why mastering body language isn't just for actors or public speakers. It's for anyone who wants to connect and communicate effectively.
And what's great is that you don't need to be fluent in English to start using positive body language. It's something you can practice and improve alongside your language skills. Plus, it helps you feel more confident when speaking, which we know is a big challenge for many learners.
In today's episode, we'll cover everything from what body language is to common mistakes English learners make, and we'll give you practical tips to improve your body language and boost your communication skills.
That's right. By the end of this episode, you'll have a whole new set of tools to express yourself and connect with others in English. Not just with words, but with how you present yourself.
So, let's get started. First, let's talk about what body language actually is and why it's such an important part of communication. All right, let's start with the basics. So, what is body language? Essentially, body language is the way we communicate without words. It includes gestures, facial expressions, posture, eye contact, and even how we move or position ourselves when we're talking.
Exactly, Jason. It's like the silent partner in every conversation. Even when you're not saying anything, your body is still talking. For example, a simple smile can show friendliness, while crossing your arms might make you look defensive or closed off.
That's a great point, Julia. And here's something interesting. Body language can actually change how people perceive your message. Imagine you're telling someone you're happy, but your face looks serious and your arms are crossed. Your body language is sending a completely different message from your words.
Right. That's why it's so important for English learners to understand this. If your body language matches your words, you'll seem more confident and believable. On the other hand, if your body language is off, people might get confused or even misunderstand you.
And body language isn't just about how others see you, it's also about how you feel. For example, standing up straight and making eye contact can actually make you feel more confident, even if you're nervous. It's like a little confidence hack.
Absolutely. And body language varies a lot depending on culture, which makes it even more interesting. In some cultures, direct eye contact is a sign of confidence, but in others, it might be seen as rude. For English learners, understanding these differences can help you adapt and communicate more effectively.
Great point, Julia. For instance, in English-speaking countries, things like a firm handshake or maintaining eye contact during a conversation are often seen as signs of confidence and respect. But for someone from a different background, these might feel unfamiliar or even uncomfortable at first.
That's true, Jason. And here's the good news. Improving your body language is something you can practice, just like learning new English words or grammar rules. Once you're aware of how body language works, you can start using it to your advantage.
Exactly. And this is what makes body language such an important part of learning English. It helps bridge the gap between the words you're learning and the message you're trying to convey.
So, to sum it up, body language is all about using your face, hands, and movements to communicate effectively. When you combine good body language with your English skills, you'll feel more confident, and people will understand you better.
All right. Now that we know what body language is, let's talk about some common mistakes English learners make and how to avoid them. Now that we've covered what body language is, let's dive into some common mistakes English learners make when it comes to body language. Julia, why don't you start us off?
Sure, Jason. One of the most common mistakes I've noticed is avoiding eye contact. Many learners feel nervous when speaking English, so they tend to look down or away when talking. But in many English-speaking cultures, avoiding eye contact can make you seem unsure or even uninterested.
That's so true, Julia. Eye contact is like a silent way of saying, I'm confident and engaged. But I understand it can feel intimidating. What's a simple tip for improving this?
Start small. If direct eye contact feels too intense, try looking between the person's eyes or at their eyebrows. It gives the same impression without feeling overwhelming.
Great advice. Another common mistake is fidgeting too much. When learners are nervous, they might tap their fingers, play with their hair, or shift their weight from one foot to the other. These small actions can make you look distracted or anxious.
Exactly, Jason. Instead of fidgeting, try keeping your hands steady or using them for purposeful gestures. For example, using open hand movements can make you seem more approachable and confident.
Speaking of hand gestures, here's another mistake: overusing or misusing gestures. Some learners use big, dramatic gestures for every word, which can be distracting. Others might use gestures that are normal in their culture, but have a completely different meaning in English-speaking cultures.
Right. For instance, a thumbs up might mean something positive in one culture, but it could be offensive in another. The key is to use gestures naturally and in moderation, just enough to emphasize your words without overdoing it.
Good point, Julia. Another mistake I've seen is poor posture. Slouching or hunching over can make you look uninterested or lacking confidence, even if you're saying something important.
Yes, posture is so important. Standing or sitting up straight not only makes you look more confident, but it also helps your voice sound clearer and stronger. Plus, it shows that you're taking the conversation seriously.
Another big one is smiling too little or too much. Smiling is a universal way to show friendliness, but some learners either forget to smile because they're too focused on their words, or they smile constantly, which can seem unnatural.
That's true, Jason. A good rule of thumb is to smile when you're greeting someone, when you're listening, and when the situation calls for it. But don't force it. Let it come naturally.
Here's a subtle mistake that often goes unnoticed: standing too close or too far away. In English-speaking countries, there's usually a comfortable space between people during a conversation. Standing too close can feel invasive, while standing too far away can seem distant or disinterested.
Absolutely. A good guideline is to keep about an arm's length between you and the person you're speaking to. If you're not sure, just observe how others do it and follow their lead.
Another mistake learners make is not matching their facial expressions to their words. For example, saying, "I'm so happy to meet you," with a blank face can send mixed signals.
Yes, Jason. Your facial expressions should match the emotion behind your words. If you're excited, let your face show it. Practice in front of a mirror if it doesn't feel natural at first.
Finally, let's talk about crossed arms. This one is tricky because crossing your arms might just feel comfortable, but it can make you seem closed off or defensive in many cultures.
That's true. Instead, try keeping your arms relaxed at your sides or using open gestures to appear more welcoming and engaged.
So, to recap, the most common body language mistakes English learners make are avoiding eye contact, fidgeting, overusing gestures, poor posture, smiling inappropriately, standing at the wrong distance, mismatched facial expressions, and crossing arms.
And the best part? All of these can be improved with practice and awareness. Now let's move on to something more positive: how to use body language effectively to improve your English communication.
All right, now let's get into the practical stuff. How to use body language to improve your English communication. Julia, why is body language such a powerful tool for English learners?
Well, Jason, body language helps reinforce your message and makes your communication more engaging. Even if your vocabulary or grammar isn't perfect, strong body language can help you express your ideas clearly and confidently. It's like having a secret weapon to fill in the gaps in your language skills.
Absolutely. Let's break it down into some key strategies. First, let's talk about eye contact. We've already mentioned how important it is, but how can learners practice it?
A simple way to practice is by looking at yourself in the mirror while speaking. Imagine you're having a conversation with someone and try to maintain steady eye contact with your reflection. Another great method is practicing with a friend or even recording yourself speaking and checking how often you look directly at the camera.
That's great advice. Now, let's move on to gestures. Using your hands can make your speech more dynamic and help emphasize key points. But how can learners use gestures effectively without overdoing it?
Start small. Use open, natural hand movements that match the tone of what you're saying. For example, if you're explaining something big, you can spread your arms wide. If you're listing points, use your fingers to count. Just make sure your gestures feel purposeful, not random.
Another strategy is focusing on your posture. Standing or sitting up straight not only makes you look confident, but also helps your voice project better. Here's a quick tip. Imagine there's a string pulling you up from the top of your head.
I love that visualization, Jason. Good posture also shows that you're engaged in the conversation. If you're slouching or leaning too much, it can signal that you're bored or unsure.
Now, let's talk about facial expressions. Julia, how can learners ensure their face reflects what they're saying?
It's all about being aware of your emotions and letting them show naturally. For example, if you're happy, smile. If you're surprised, raise your eyebrows. You can practice by recording yourself reading a script or telling a story and checking if your expressions match your words.
That's a great tip. Another key element is mirroring. This means subtly copying the other person's body language to build rapport. How can learners use this technique?
Mirroring is simple. If the person you're speaking with leans slightly forward, you can do the same. If they use open hand gestures, you can mirror that too. Just be subtle so it feels natural, not forced.
Let's not forget about smiling. A genuine smile can instantly make you more approachable and create a positive connection. Julia, how can learners practice smiling naturally during conversations?
Try smiling when you say hello or introduce yourself. You can also practice smiling while speaking in front of a mirror. It might feel awkward at first, but over time it'll become a natural part of your communication.
Another important point is movement. Standing still can make you seem stiff, while moving too much can be distracting. What's a good balance, Julia?
Think of movement as a way to support your words. For example, take a small step forward when you're making an important point, or lean slightly back to show you're considering something. Keep your movements controlled and intentional.
Great! And let's touch on personal space. Maintaining the right distance can make your conversation more comfortable. What's a good rule of thumb for English learners?
Generally, an arm's length is a good starting point, but it depends on the situation and the person. If you're unsure, observe how others position themselves in similar settings and adjust accordingly.
Lastly, let's talk about using body language for storytelling. This is especially helpful in group settings or presentations. Julia, how can learners make their stories more engaging with body language?
Use your gestures to paint a picture. For example, if you're talking about a big idea, spread your arms wide. If you're describing something small, pinch your fingers together. Changing your tone and adding expressions can also bring your story to life.
So, to recap, you can use eye contact, gestures, posture, facial expressions, mirroring, smiling, purposeful movement, and storytelling techniques to enhance your communication. Practice these daily, and you'll see a big improvement.
Absolutely. Body language is such a powerful tool, and when you combine it with your growing English skills, you'll become a confident and effective communicator.
All right, let's wrap things up with some tips on how to practice body language daily. Stick with us. Now that we've covered how to use body language effectively, let's talk about practical ways to improve it. Julia, do you have any go-to exercises that learners can try to enhance their body language skills?
Absolutely, Jason. Let's start with one of my favorites, the mirror exercise. Stand in front of a mirror and practice speaking aloud for a few minutes. Pay attention to your facial expressions, gestures, and posture. This helps you see how others perceive you and makes you more aware of your body language.
That's a great one, Julia. Another powerful exercise is video recording. Set up your phone or camera and record yourself having a conversation or giving a short speech in English. Watch the video to analyze your body language. Are your gestures natural? Is your posture confident? Are you smiling enough?
I love that idea, Jason. Watching yourself on video can be eye-opening. Here's another exercise. Practice purposeful gestures. Pick a few simple gestures like pointing when making a strong point or using open hands to emphasize an idea. Practice these while speaking so they feel natural when you use them in real conversations.
That's such a practical tip. Another useful exercise is role-playing. Find a friend or language partner and role-play common situations, like introducing yourself or asking for directions. Focus on maintaining eye contact, smiling, and using appropriate gestures during the interaction.
Yes, role-playing is fantastic for building confidence. Here's one more. Posture drills. Stand with your back against a wall for a minute to feel what good posture is like. Then try to maintain that posture while speaking. This helps you project confidence and clarity.
That's a great one, Julia. And let's not forget about practicing eye contact. You can practice this even when you're not speaking. For example, when you're watching TV or videos, try to mimic the eye contact of the speakers. Or, when you're in a conversation, focus on looking into the other person's eyes for a few seconds at a time.
Definitely. Eye contact takes practice, but it makes such a difference. Here's a fun one. Body language charades. Practice expressing emotions or ideas using only your gestures and expressions. For example, try showing excited, confused, or curious without speaking. This helps you become more expressive and creative with your body language.
That sounds like a lot of fun, Julia. And for our listeners who want to refine their movement, I'd suggest walking exercises. Walk around a room while imagining you're presenting to an audience. Practice controlled, purposeful movements, like stepping forward when making a point or gesturing smoothly.
Such a great idea. One last exercise I'd recommend is feedback practice. Ask a friend, teacher, or family member to watch you speak and give feedback on your body language. Sometimes others notice things that we might not realize ourselves.
That's an excellent suggestion, Julia. Feedback helps you fine-tune your body language and become more confident. So, to summarize, you can enhance your body language skills with exercises like using a mirror, video recording, purposeful gestures, role-playing, posture drills, practicing eye contact, charades, walking exercises, and seeking feedback.
Exactly. The key is consistency. Just like learning English, improving your body language takes practice and time, but the results are so worth it.
Absolutely. With these exercises, you'll not only become a better communicator but also feel more confident in your English conversations.
All right, Jason, let's wrap things up with some final tips for combining body language and English skills.
Julia, we've talked a lot about how to use body language effectively, but let's take a step back. Why does body language matter so much when it comes to speaking English confidently?
That's a great question, Jason. Body language is like the unspoken part of communication. Research shows that over half of our communication is nonverbal, which means things like gestures, posture, and facial expressions are just as important as the words we say.
Exactly. When you combine strong body language with your spoken English, you appear more confident and engaging. And confidence plays a huge role in how others perceive your communication skills.
Right, Jason. Plus, when you use confident body language, you actually start to feel more confident yourself. For example, standing tall with open gestures can trick your brain into feeling less nervous, even if you're a little anxious about speaking English.
I love that point, Julia. Body language can also make up for any gaps in your language skills. If you're struggling to find the right word or phrase, your gestures and expressions can help convey your message.
Exactly, Jason. Let's not forget about the role body language plays in building connections. When you smile, maintain eye contact, or use open gestures, you create a sense of trust and approachability. This is especially important in conversations where English might not be your first language.
Great point. It's not just about looking confident, it's about making the person you're speaking with feel comfortable too. And when both people are at ease, the conversation flows much more naturally.
That's so true, Jason. Body language also helps you stand out in group settings. Imagine giving a presentation or answering a question in class. If your body language shows confidence, even if your English isn't perfect, people are more likely to focus on your message.
Absolutely, Julia. To sum it up, body language matters because it reinforces your words, boosts your confidence, builds trust, and helps you connect with others. It's an essential tool for any English learner who wants to communicate effectively.
Well said, Jason. When you align your body language with your spoken English, you're sending a clear, confident, and powerful message. And that's something every English learner should aim for.
Couldn't agree more, Julia. All right, up next, let's share some tips for putting everything we've discussed into practice. Stay tuned. Now, before we wrap up today's podcast, let's take a few questions from our listeners. Julia, I've got the first one here. It's from Maria in Brazil. She asks, I get very nervous when speaking English in front of others, and I feel my body language becomes awkward. What can I do to fix this?
Great question, Maria. First, know that feeling nervous is completely normal. One tip is to start small. Practice speaking English in front of a mirror or with a trusted friend. Pay attention to your posture and gestures. Also, try taking a few deep breaths before you speak. It helps relax your body and mind. The more you practice, the more natural your body language will become.
That's great advice, Julia. I have another question here from Ahmed in Egypt. He says, I find it hard to maintain eye contact when speaking in English. What should I do?
Ahmed, you're not alone. Many people struggle with this. Start by practicing eye contact in low-pressure situations, like with friends or family. A good trick is to look at the person's forehead or the space between their eyes if direct eye contact feels too intense. With practice, maintaining eye contact will become easier.
That's such a practical tip. Here's another question from Priya in India. She asks, what gestures should I avoid when speaking in English?
Great question, Priya. Avoid crossing your arms, which can make you look closed off. Also, try not to fidget or use repetitive movements like tapping your foot or playing with your hair, as they can be distracting. Finally, keep your gestures natural. Don't overdo it, or it might seem forced.
Good points, Julia. And remember, listeners, the key is to be aware of your body language, but not to stress over it. It's all about practice and making gradual improvements.
Exactly, Jason. And for those of you who sent in questions we didn't get to, we'll try to answer them in future episodes. Keep them coming.
Yes, we love hearing from you. All right, Julia, let's move on to the conclusion and wrap up today's podcast. All right, Julia, what a fantastic conversation we've had today about body language for English learners. Let's quickly recap what we covered.
Sure, Jason. We started by discussing what body language is and why it's so important for confident communication in English. Then we explored common body language mistakes and how to avoid them.
That's right. We also shared practical tips for using body language to enhance English communication and went over specific exercises to help listeners improve their nonverbal skills.
And we answered some great questions from our listeners about how to tackle challenges like nervousness, maintaining eye contact, and avoiding distracting gestures.
Exactly. Now, for our listeners, here's your challenge. This week, try one of the exercises we discussed, maybe the mirror exercise or practicing eye contact, and see how it affects your confidence when speaking English.
Yes, and remember, improving your body language takes practice, just like learning English. But with consistent effort, you'll see results.
If you found today's podcast helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And we'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below sharing your favorite tip or any questions you have about body language or learning English.
And if you want more tips and lessons, be sure to check out our other podcasts in the playlist. We're here to help you on your English learning journey.
Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Until next time, keep practicing, stay confident, and remember, your body speaks as loudly as your words.
See you next time.